My Thanksgiving weekend, we went and saw a double feature.
So fun.
Moana 2 and Wicked.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. I sobbed so hard at Wicked. I wanted to literally
So I have not seen it yet, and I'm sad.
Okay, I will not say anything.
No, I was saying, like, do I go see it on my own? Because I don't know why. Like, I don't have friends in town who want to see Wicked, which is like bizarre to me. But they're not musical people. Yeah, I know. I'm like, what the heck? I gotta cultivate my musical friends. Mom wants to go now. I think maybe. So
she should.
Yeah,
I'll try. I'll get
No,
her.
she's good. She's ready. She told me she would.
Oh,
but it's just one of those things where. What'd you do?
Man, I just spilled my water everywhere.
All right, go get that cleaned up.
I'm sorry. First it's Ned, and now it's the water. Ugh. This is why I can't have nice things. Okay, hold on. Let me grab a towel.
Yeah.
Do you think someday I will not be a hot mess?
I hope not, because you're super fun.
Hot mess Megan. Ba-da-da-da. She's such a hot mess. She's ba-da-da-da. She's hot mess Megan. Hot mess Megan.
I like that you have theme songs to things that really annoy you.
That's the only way to be.
Yeah.
That's the only way to be.
Yeah, I can imagine we're all going to be like, I'm hot mess Shelly. La 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 la.
Da, 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 da. I'm such a hot mess. I'm ba-da-da-da. Hot mess Shelly. Hot mess Shelly.
Oh my God. All right, my friend. Are you ready to podcast or what?
I guess so. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Megan.
Welcome to Spicy Brain Podcast, where we navigate.
What?
Where we navigate neurodiversity through radical acceptance, joy, and curiosity. Did I nail it?
I like that. Yeah, with curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance.
Oh, right. Radical acceptance.
Okay, so you can tell we are on it right now. We are like in ADD, full on Rosey ADD mode.
Is that the most chaotic intro I think we've ever done?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely.
I just started it. Apparently, I was just like, "Well, we're doing this now. Let's go."
So, if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And just so you know, we do have a Facebook page, Spicy Brain Studio. And Studios, I think, actually. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're returning, then you know that this is nothing new, us having craziness that happens. So just so you all know that if you weren't here for the beginning piece of this, Megan just spilled water everywhere, all over her desk. And so she came in hot mess.
Came in hot
mess.
Megan.
That's what she calls herself when she's in that mode.
Hot mess Megan. That's right.
Okay, so I don't know if you're ready for this, but we've been talking about how ADHD affects home organization. Lisa Woodruff's book, and she's got a podcast, and we'll make note of it in our things. And we've been talking a lot about flexibility last time, and this time what I want to talk about is this concept of working memory. Okay, so we have these different things that are executive functioning. We've been focusing in on the neurodiversity of ADHD currently, and there are these sort of 8 things she lists, and flexibility in thinking is one of them that can be difficult. Also working memory, so keeping things in your mind for longer than a millisecond. Multiple steps of things, right?
Like us introducing the podcast.
Yeah, like we had that steps. Those are things we're supposed to say in order, and they might not be in the right order, or maybe not said at all. So this idea that you can multitask, right? We want to kind of debunk this, that this is actually not a thing. People don't multitask. But what they can do is that they can switch between tasks very quickly. So sometimes people with working memory issues, switching between tasks can be tough. So you just had water spill everywhere. That was a task. And now you're tasked with coming to the podcast, and you didn't even remember that you don't do the intros. So this idea of working memory is like that idea that your brain can hold multiple things in the forefront of your thought, like at the same time. So we kind of think about this with like math problems, right? You've got a bunch of steps you need to remember at once to be able to solve something or to be able to do something, and that can be difficult sometimes. So, okay, home organization is only multitasking.
Yeah.
And short-term memory. And we did an entire podcast of you talking about vacuuming. And our mom would give us a list of things to do, and like vacuuming was one of them. And then we kind of really went through it. I don't remember which podcast it is. We can probably go back and find it, but it was like,
I'll link it in the show notes if you want to listen to it again.
Yeah, because it was so fascinating to me that like how many steps there are to vacuuming, for example, right? And so if you don't keep those in the forefront of your mind as you're going through things,
you can just stare at a vacuum for hours and be like, what do I do next?
Right. Yeah, and legitimately so.
And the vacuum doesn't talk back. The vacuum will not tell you what to do.
They'll probably
it's
make
such
you
a jerk.
Like, okay, now press my power button, Megan.
It's true, Michelle. I just got a Roomba.
Oh, did you? You've been wanting one of those.
Yeah, I decided since I got my job, I was like, and it was Black Friday. I'm like, I am getting myself a Roomba.
It's happening.
It's happening, folks.
Do you start your job Monday?
I do.
Oh my gosh, 2 days. That's amazing.
2 days. Amazing. I'm going to be like an official adult.
Okay.
Again.
Hey, I love
a working adult.
No,
but Michelle,
already,
I got so like the Roomba, it came and it's like it says to you, waiting to connect. And it's like it does talk to you.
Oh,
and
it's so perfect.
And the app, it was super helpful. And I was like, my floors have never been more clean. And I've only ran the Roomba twice.
Wow.
But can I tell you though? Okay, I'm gonna out myself. This is great. So I have all hardwood floors. Well, not hardwood, like they're laminate.
Yeah,
but I have all
fake hardwood, whatever.
I have all bare floors.
Sure.
And I haven't cleaned them in a while. And so the Roomba like literally got stuck multiple times.
Really?
Like, I even picked up everything off the floor, Michelle. I picked up all the it says like pick up all your cables. I picked up all the stuff off the floor.
Yeah.
And it still managed to find things and get stuck with stuff.
Oh.
It was just like
But it wasn't because of dirt. It was like it had found a pencil or this or that.
Well, there was quite a bit of dog hair. That was the first thing.
Yeah. Well,
no, luckily no pencils, but like random pieces of plastic from, when we were unboxing all of our belongings and stuff, or like just a random, like might have like fallen underneath the bed because little Miss Butskis, aka Daisy, yes, she loves to like go under our bed now. It's the weirdest thing.
Huh.
She goes under the bed and she's like scurrying and foraging and I don't know what she's doing down there.
Having her best life.
Yeah, but the Roomba definitely got stuck. But it does talk to you now.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You just need every appliance to talk to you.
I do.
And be like, don't forget, this is what you do next.
Hello, Megan.
Hello, Megan.
How are you today? Now, you're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, I will do that.
You're super excited for the home robot, I think.
Oh, I am.
Do you remember the Jetsons? I don't know. You might be too young for it. But
no, I love the Jetsons.
Cartoon. Yeah. And there was Rosey,
George
the main.
Jetson.
Yeah.
Jane, his wife.
Yes. But it was the robot. Rosie.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
Rosie
it was Rosie the robot. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's going to be the Roomba's name. Rosie the robot.
Rosie.
I should put some googly eyes on it.
Yes, I love it. And maybe one of those, like she had like little wires coming out of her head, I think.
Yeah, she had like a little like yeah. Oh, that would be great.
Good.
I should totally decorate my robot. I love that. I'm doing it.
So okay, so in this chapter with what Lisa Woodruff said, she was talking about kind of part of the issue with like cleaning your home, cleaning, organizing, whatever, is kind of seeing all the things. And she describes it like this. I just want to say this. I'm going to quote her sort of. When you've got issues with working memory, that you might walk into a space and all the disorder reaches out to you at the same volume and it's overwhelming. So you reach out to silence the stray socks, the open chip bag catches your eye, and then you see a bill you meant to mail. But what do you let go of? Which thing, like, do you go for the socks? Do you do the mail? Do you like, and that can be overwhelming because they're all all the things that you need to do are kind of reaching out to you in the same voice or the same loudness. Is that right? Does that make sense?
No, that makes like absolute sense.
Yeah. And so then it says, now you're overwhelmed. So maybe your friend wants coffee and then you go out the door. And I was thinking of you with your email. Like, you had so much to do in your house before Thanksgiving, and then you decided to like clean out your email. And I'm like, because that's the most pressing thing. But you were productive. I don't mean you weren't, but you know.
I did do that. It was like the one thing I was like, I am so overwhelmed by my house. I'll do my email.
So my question was, you started her program and she said she had like 100-day program or something. Did you start that at some point?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So
she has a 100-day program?
I guess. Yeah, there's like this 100-day organizational program and you pay for this. And it's you do things in 15-minute increments, apparently.
I probably did get it. I just haven't gotten to that far yet. Like, I'm still on the Sunday basket after how many months, you know?
Okay.
Like 6 months.
Totally fair. But
9 months.
But you did try something, she said, which she said her first session is that she just wants you to spend 15 minutes and you walk into a room and you have only one thing on your mind. And she says it like you start with trash and you just chant trash because then you're not letting like all the other things that are overwhelming you. Now, have you done that? Does that work? Okay, you tried
I have done that.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me all about that because I'm curious.
It was true. Like, no, actually it was really good.
Okay.
So you grab a bag and preferably if you can, you get one that is not clear. Oh. Because otherwise you'll get distracted by what's in the bag as well, is what I've learned.
Oh, like a black bag or something.
Yeah, black bags are best. Okay. But if you don't have that, it's fine. You just get whatever you got. But yeah, you walk into a room and you just say trash, 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 trash. I did that. And I walked in, I was like, trash, 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 trash. I just kept like saying it over and over again like a robot. And
like Rosie the robot.
Yeah, I was with my little my butt. Not my butt, my head.
Wow. You're so tired.
ADHD is so strong today. Like, we need a check-in of like, okay, Megan, on a scale of 1 to 10, like how ADHD are you today?
That is true. Let's start that. So how are we doing today?
I think I'm like a good solid 9.
So 9 to 10 is high.
Yeah, that's like we're
and what is that? Let's just dig in for just a second. Like, what does that mean for you?
It means I'm like, it's so weird. Actually, it's like I feel a little out of body today.
Oh.
Like, I know you're talking to me and I know I'm responding, but I'm not quite sure what is happening. Like, I started the podcast. Like, maybe that's an 11. I don't know.
But this is always like when I say to people, I'm like, oh man, I just got ADHD. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot. When I can't follow you either or bring you back, it's like there's no chance. I got ADHD. It's not my new verb.
Oh, that's fantastic, Michelle.
Yeah, because like when you are not ADHD and you're on the ride with somebody, it's like wild. You know, it's it's fun sometimes. Sometimes not if you're trying to actually like finish a podcast, but like, no, just joking. Just kidding. But you know, it's fun, but you're like, wow, where are we going?
Would like Ned exploding be like an 11? Like, you know, between 1 and Ned exploding, like where are you at on the scale of ADHD?
I think it's you're tired and so you don't have like your normal energy to like stop. I think this is how you kind of normally are.
This is what I would normally be like.
If everyone could live in like
my ADHD Rosie land.
I think you would just kind of flit around.
I would be like this all the time.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I think that's accurate. Because I think I had like 4 hours of sleep last night.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of like slap happy. I think people have that, like that slap happy in a feeling, but it goes so much deeper than just slap happy. And
take us down the rabbit hole, Megan. What is it? Let's
dig right on in. Okay.
Well,
the first thing I was thinking about, like the visual that popped into my head was me being around somebody who's drunk when I'm not drunk. Yes. Like, they're having the best time. Yes. And you're just like, seriously? Like, again, do we have...
Right.
So I feel like I'm the drunk one right now. Like, right? If you don't have ADHD, then you're kind of just like, what is happening?
Yeah. And it's so great. And yet it's like, I'm always like, I don't know, like, I'm not at the same, like, wavelength.
Frequency.
Right?
Yeah.
Frequency and wavelength, right? Okay, gosh, now we're totally getting into my wheelhouse of physics. Fun.
You're welcome.
But anyway, you're welcome.
Is it a wave or is it a light? Wait, what is it?
Particle.
Particle. It's a wave and a particle at the same time.
You might have just gone quantum, right? Which like means that you're like in two places at once almost, Dude,
I kind of feel that way. It's like, I feel like I'm in my head. Like there's like this whole thing that's happening in my head. Okay, let's break it down physically.
Yeah.
Like my skin does not necessarily feel like my own. When I'm in the whole ADHD world. Like right now, as we've kind of grounded a little bit more, I feel like, I'm sure you can hear it in my voice too. Like I'm a little bit more, I can feel my skin now, whereas I couldn't feel it earlier.
Okay. So it was like almost disembodied moment.
Yeah.
Or other like out of body experience.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like the surge of energy. It's just like going throughout every part of my body, and like I can't stop it.
Yeah.
But I also kind of don't want to stop it.
Feels kind of good.
It does feel kind of good because I'm feeling internally, not externally. Does that make sense? Like it's like I can feel the under part of my skin.
Sorry.
Is that a thing? No, is that a thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, there's like something like, under your skin.
If you have your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have your hand, like you have the top of your hand, you feel that.
Yeah.
But like, and it feels different than the bottom part of your hand. So it's like, if this is my skin, like, and normally you feel this part of your skin, it's like I'm feeling this part of my skin.
Interesting.
The under part of my skin.
So you're very like in it when you get really like that, you really are feeling what's happening inside your body more than outside.
Yeah.
The external world kind of goes away and it's more internal.
Yeah. It's like I have a skin suit that I can't feel past.
A skin suit. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it feels like my body is just like a suit. And like, that's all. Like, I'm just, what is it? What am I doing, Michelle? I'm
like, I'm just floating around or feeling around for like
like a little baby, like when you're in the womb and you only have a certain spot you can go, you're just like, like, and then you can't go any further. It's like I'm in the womb of my own body.
That's wild.
Sound like
so
I'm
wild,
tripping or something.
I'm like, go on.
You're like, where's my popcorn?
It's like,
okay, Megan.
No, it's great. I'm like, I don't understand it, but it's not mine to understand necessarily. But I'm curious about it.
That's
I don't
true.
quite get it. Like, meaning, okay.
I just visualize myself
in a womb.
I visualize myself. Okay, the visual I have is like me in a skin suit, like pushing on it, being like, "Hey," ooh, and, like feeling all like when people you see when they're miming stuff and they they have like an invisible force, and you're just like touching it. You're like, "That's crazy! Oh my gosh!" And like I'm just feeling all around my skin suit.
It just sounds like some like weird combination of like the Big Lebowski and you know, like where he's like
Silence the
dude,
Lambs,
you know, and like, yeah, some kind of like
horror show.
Like skin suit. Like, I don't know. But I feel feel like that barrier, that kind of makes sense to me, of like slightly permeable, like you get a little bit from the outside, but you're mostly like really inside your own space, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's an internal like adventure you're having, and it looks like from the outside like unclear what's going on, but in your mind it's like so clear.
It's like I'm clear for the first time.
Interesting.
Like I have a unicorn vision of clarity
when you're in that state.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, of myself, not of anything else that's going on around me. Like, you want to say something to me, and I'm like, I genuinely have no idea what you said. We've been doing this for like 30 minutes. I genuinely have no idea what you said before that.
But that's because you have difficulty with working memory.
Yes.
That is what we've been talking about. So that is why.
Can I just really quickly clarify the skin suit thing?
Yeah.
So that I don't sound like like an axe murderer or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm remembering there was like some, was it Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where the like, spoiler alert, the bad guy, like he like turns into like a balloon at the end.
Oh, okay.
You know, and kind of like, and then just becomes like this sort of, like, it's just a skin,
like a balloon.
Like a balloon person.
So you feel like a balloon person.
I mean, but not a balloon texture.
Oh.
Let's speak very clearly. Like, we're in my weird world, okay? There are some boundaries, Michelle. But like when I think of like the suit, like it's more of like a skin balloon. Like, it's, you know, if it's sort of this, it's like it kind of could expand a little bit, but it's really limited, and it's in the shape of a body.
Wow. So it's like almost like you exist in physical form, but not quite.
Yeah, I think I have gone quantum.
Oh my God.
She's gone quantum.
She's gone quantum. And she's just been ADHD'd.
I ADHD'd all over that.
Oh my
I
God.
ADHD'd all over this podcast. Sorry, guys. You're getting it real time, folks.
But I think it's really good, because I think it really shows, you know, the idea that this happens for you on the regular, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if like the idea is that you're going to clean your house or organize your house, and you're in that state, and we started saying trash, 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 trash.
Oh, right.
Right?
I was like, that's right. No, the trash thing did help, because it's like it forced me to just, like, there was no other thought that could come into my head. It was just trash, 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 trash. And it helped, because it's like, okay, what am I looking at? And then if I got distracted, I had the trash bag in my hand, and I'm like, oh, right, trash, 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 you know.
Right.
I did.
Yeah.
I got distracted for quite a while.
Yeah. And then, but that thing was still in your hand. And then, now my question to you is, and I think she talks a little bit in this book about making things habit, like muscle memory.
Yeah.
So in order to keep that like idea of even doing that regularly, like what might have to happen for you to have it become a pattern or a habit of some, like, because again, it's like, can you put it in your physical body, because your mind isn't going to remember it necessarily.
Yeah.
Because I think working memory for you, we were doing like 1 to 5 scales, and I think you're like, you said like a -1 or something for working memory.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is like, if somebody has this going on, this is like this is hard.
Yeah, because it affects every other aspect.
Because then you're like Dory, right?
Yeah.
And you don't remember
anything.
Yeah. And it makes it I mean, this can affect relationships and all that too, right? I mean, we've talked about that before, but in terms of this, like, have you done the trash thing again? Or was it just that one time you tried it and it worked? Do you know? Do you remember?
I think I might have tried it again because I heard it from somebody else. But yeah, I don't, like, that isn't the thing I'm like, okay, trash, 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 trash. I don't do it every single time. You know, you're asking me, like, do I have this routine, or like, can I make it a routine? And my initial thought was like, hell no.
Right.
Like it was like it was more of, gosh, let me know if I'll let you know if I ever figure it out.
Yeah.
Because that's the truly maddening part. Everyone says like, oh, it takes, 30 days to create a new habit.
That's not true for you.
It's not true. I mean, like literally I would forget to put on glasses if I couldn't see.
Wow. So
like,
you need an external reminder to remind you to do it.
Because like I literally forget to put my glasses on in the morning. And then I get to a certain point in the day, like in the morning, like my morning routine, and I'm just like, wait, I know I'm forgetting something. And it's like, oh yeah, right, I can't see anything.
But you've made a morning routine.
I have, yes. I still forget steps in the morning routine. Like I literally am like, okay, wait, did I do everything? And I have like so what I've done is I've made my little pull-out drawer in my bathroom, and everything is laying flat so that I can see all the different products that I use. And so then at the very end of the morning, I look down and I'm like, okay, did I use all those products? And if I did, then I've finished my morning routine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you would need the equivalent of the flat drawer to remind you, whatever that would be.
Like the prop table, right? It's like the prop table of I would need, and that's the hard part about these routines, is that I don't do everything the same way every single day.
Right.
Because I don't always remember which one. Like, so sometimes like I'll put like let me finish my sentence. I don't always, what was I saying? Okay. I don't always do my morning routine the same way each time, because I just am getting so, let me close my eyes, because if I don't see things, then I won't get distracted. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't always do my morning routine the same way because I cannot remember always the steps that I take it. So for instance, I will put on my, like, let's say my underwear, and then I put on my pants. But then sometimes I'll see my socks first, and I'll put my underwear on and then my socks. But then I get really frustrated, because then putting my feet into the pants is harder when you have socks on. So then sometimes I'll put on like my bra first, and then I'm like, wait, where are my underwear? And I just like, I don't do things the same way each time.
That is true about you.
Yeah.
Like, and even starting this podcast, we did not do it the same way this time. And especially, I'm joking, but like, especially I think when you're really tired, or you haven't had, whatever's going on for you, that changes the energy you have.
Yeah.
To kind of really do that. And I think the working memory piece for you, like even now you're trying to tell me steps of something, you can hear it in your voice that it's really hard for you today. To do that. So there has to be a lot of grace you have to give yourself, I would imagine, as well, in the whole home organization milieu process, that whole area.
It's interesting you say that I need to give myself grace, because the first thought was like, yeah, I don't do that. And I need to, because I think already as a society, we shame people about their homes anyways. And there's like all these, home influencers and people who make you feel terrible about yourself, that like you don't have the home that they have. So there's already that entwined into our society. But then you add any kind of a difference for getting there, like if you're physically not able to do a lot of these things. Like I remember just like trying to, when I was having all this physical pain, I'm like, what products can I use to clean my home if I can barely bend over, or if I can, if I can't walk very much.
Yeah.
And there was just so little information about that. And I was like, see, this is the problem. It's like these people who are very abled, it's ableist, right? Like they're very capable and able, and they're telling you what to do, and they're not considering that there could be other.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I've already just forgotten what we were talking about again.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, I think, that happens, especially if it's something that's not like super interesting to you, right? Like trash is not super interesting to you. So, I mean, I think this idea in her book is kind of like this idea of progress, not perfection. And yet, even within that idea, which I think is so beautiful, and absolutely, there is this idea that you can have all these steps, you can read about all these steps, it can even work for you, and yet you might not remember to do them again. And how frustrating that can be, because, you know, she's got 3 sessions that she talks about, and like you're doing, you know, first you do the obvious trash, and then you do the second, you do the less obvious trash. And then, you know, the second session is like food and dishes, and do all the plates and the, you know, the food and the trash, you know, anyway, and there's all these steps to it. And yet even within that, I think depending if working memory is one of your big issues with executive functioning, it's going to be hard to remember to do it.
And also remember which step you're on.
Right.
Like, it's great to have a step, but like, which step are you on? And yeah, you're right. Like, you mentioned the trash thing, and I was like, oh, right. That did work really well. And it's like, it is maddening that I don't remember that worked really well.
Right.
It's super maddening. Because it's like, oh, yeah.
But then who's your village, and how can you, you know, like you tell me things, and you always say like, I'm like, you know, an external hard drive for your brain. And so I can bring it up, or you can tell somebody to say, hey, these things I know worked for me, I'm going to tell you when they work for me, and maybe you can help remind me again or something, right? Or write it down. You always write stuff down and have it posted places as well, but then you have to remember to look, you said.
I know. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think this is the part of like giving myself grace that, you know, there's also different seasons of your life. Yeah. So some of these some of these tricks might work well during certain seasons, and other seasons it doesn't. And so it's like,
and when you say seasons, what do you mean by that?
Like,
or might you mean by that?
I think that we go through seasons of our life, like where, let's say you're in school, that's a season, you know, and let's say you have a newborn, that's a season. Once your children are out of the house, that's a season. So like, I am starting a new season of my life like in 2 days. Yeah. And so this is a whole new season. And so what worked even a week ago is not necessarily going to work for me going forward. And so that for me is when I think of seasons. I feel like I heard someone say that, and it felt kinder to me than like, because it allows you to grow. And like, I think that was the thing growing up. Like, it felt like change was always such a scary thing, that you weren't supposed to change ever. And like that change was somehow bad. But like this, you know, our earth changes seasons 4 different times a year. And some of it's cyclical, but you know, like I was talking to this lady at the aquarium yesterday, and she was saying, she's like, oh, are the humpback whales here? And I was like, oh no, they were here about a month ago. And she's like, oh, I just have this clear memory, and I always kind of thought it was November. And, you know, it's like, yeah, well, at some point, like 7 years ago, whatever, the water was probably warmer, and the humpback whales came in November. So there is a season, but it does change even within that season, right? So it's like, it's within that year, I should say. And so I feel like that's kind of where I'm trying to like be kind to myself, is to say, I am a person. I'm in different seasons of my life, and like, you do this actually really well, Michelle. You have a fall season. You're like, it is fall. My life is about to explode. And
I tell everybody that.
Yeah. And like, that time period is a specific season of your life. And you have a lot more availability in like after that season. So it's like, I think it can go like macro level and micro. Getting a little too heady right now, but
no, I get that completely. And I think, you know, when you're talking about what you need to be functional, or, and I don't even want to say successful, but functional, to make progress on the goals you have. And especially I think in our homes, like sometimes we need help. Yeah. You know, we need someone to come in, if we can afford it, to come in and help us do this. We need a coach. We need to make it one of our goals and one of our tomatoes of time, right? We talk about those 25 increments of time. You meet with your focus revolution group sometimes to get online, right? And have those, if that's a goal for you too.
Yeah.
Right. And you're saying like different seasons might have different goals with it, right? It may not be as important to you right now because something else is more important to you. But I think with working memory, I think you say this to Brian a lot, and sometimes you'll say something similarly to me, but I just need to be stage managed right now. And I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I think that's been a tool you've used with your relationship with Brian that he understands, coming from having a bit of a background in the theater, as both of you do. But I think it's a nice tool.
Yeah. Like, I think if there's one person in a relationship that has a better working memory, because like clearly I have actual short-term memory loss, that's diagnosed, and ADHD on top of it. So he's good at like looking at the big, like the macro level of things. I'm good at looking at I'm good at the macro. He's good at the micro. So he can like take this, this big thing and then like break it down and do all these crazy stuff with it. And so I will say to him, like, I need a stage manager, and I love you, Mason, if you're listening. Mason's my buddy who was an amazing stage manager in New York. But like, you're sometimes a glorified babysitter because you're literally the one who is taking care of everybody. Your mom, right? Your mom, and you're telling everywhere when to go. You have like a huge binder of like every single process that has to happen for that show. You have planned it all out. You know exactly where the layouts are. You know where the blocking is. You know where every single thing, like, you are the like little demigod basically of that show. And you are the book, like you're the brain of the show. The show does not work without you. And so I tell Brian, I'm like, I just need you to be my brain. My brain is just physically not working today. So can you please stage manage me? and that usually is just get me, it really, a lot of times just get me started. Like, just tell me a task to do and I'll go do it. Like, what's frustrating you right now? I'll go do that. Like, I don't need, just tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really is helpful. And like, a lot of times I just need that first step, and then I'm kickstarted, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do now. And then I get started.
That's always what happens if you call me, Michelle, tell me something to do, and I'll say it, and you're like, no. And then you do the next thing. But you at least had that decision made, right? Like,
it gives me a place to
bounce
bump
off
up,
of.
to bounce off of. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. So do you feel like this idea of progressing in this way within your own home, I mean, do you feel like you've made progress? I mean, obviously you bought a Roomba, so you bought something that helps you, that supports you for something that's hard for you to either physically do or remember to do.
Oh, I absolutely see progress. I don't see perfection, but I do see progress. And I think that is the hardest thing for me to remember. And that's why this podcast has been really helpful to remind me and to see all of the progress I have made. Because the thing I was thinking about was that, yes, the trash. Like, I don't do it that specific way, but I think must be something. I don't give myself enough credit that there is probably some bit of that is still internalized, because that is like when I was cleaning up the kitchen yesterday, we had, the whole Friendsgiving. Kitchen's been a mess for the last few days. And so the first thing I did was I take my trash bowl and I kind of go and pick up everything I know is trash, that I know is not going away. And then the next step I tend to do is I pick the items that can go in the dishwasher right away, that aren't hard, like, silverware and cups and things like that. And then I have to start making decisions. And so it's like, okay, at that point, what goes in the dishwasher, what doesn't go in the dishwasher. And so I start separating those. And then once I kind of get that done, I clean the dishes that are hand washed. And then I moved on to like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, I could just be done. And I was like, Megan, don't be done. You need to at least clean the kitchen, the cutting board, you know? And I was like, you'll feel so much better. Like you'll thank yourself in the morning. And I keep reminding myself of that. And then it's like, okay, well, I need to like wipe down. So now I have the counters, right? So, okay, sorry, stop. There's going to be a lot of like fun sound effects for this episode. So then I made myself get all the dishes. And so like I looked around, I'm like, are there any other dishes left? Have I missed anything? Nope. I cleaned them all. I started the dishwasher, and then I was like, ugh, the counters. So I then went and took my little a trash bowl, people. Trash bowl. This will change your life if you have ADHD. I have like a dedicated bowl that is like this, like bigger than my head size. Yeah. And it lives on the counter, and you just wipe up everything. Like you take the crumbs and just wipe them into the bowl, you know? And so it allows for trash. I think like actually that's been one of the things that's helped me keep the trash off the table, is because I have a bowl for it. And that bowl gets disgusting, and sometimes it doesn't get thrown away for multiple days, and sometimes it grows things in it. But it's in that one
little space
bowl.
Instead of everywhere. You could get a lid.
No, because like if I have a lid,
you won't see it.
Right. But if someone comes over, I could just like, you know, put the trash bowl away. I've done that every once in a while. Just stick it in the oven, and then you'll forget about it there.
maybe out in the garage or something.
Yeah, don't stick it in the oven.
Don't stick it in the oven. That's bad.
But so I went through and I like cleared off all the crumbs that I could like into the trash. I did the trash again, and then I sprayed things down, let it soak, and it
sounds exactly like what this chapter is saying, what she was saying, because she said chunking things, like do one thing and finish it all the way through, and then do the next chunk. Yeah. And it sounds like you came up with your own chunks of things, like your own way of chunking it, but like you did do that, and you are doing that, at least for the kitchen. Yeah, and I think the thing about working memory that's also really hard is that you forget how much you've accomplished and how much progress you've made. So it's a double-edged sword of that, like where it goes both ways, and you can't, I don't see how much progress I've made until I've actually sat down with someone and talked about it. Interesting. And this is the hard part about having ADHD, because like not everybody is just getting this podcast, right? They're not like getting to sit down and like, you know, we talked about this last week, how unusual it is for you and I to be sitting down and having these conversations every week, how wonderful it is, and how useful it's been, but it is unusual. And so like, how do you as an ADHD person remind yourself of like just how far you've come? And if like that's the one thing I can say to you guys who are listening, like just take a minute as you're listening to this, like how far have you come? And what have you made progress on? Because it's there, and and like my initial instinct when we were talking about it was like, no, I haven't made any progress. It's like, oh, I have. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting as we were talking, and I was like, I think there's more to this, because you really have kept your kitchen pretty well clean. I mean, on the regular, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's not every day, every second, but like, you know, it's not like you're going weeks like you could have before where you're not even touching it, you know? So I think that's amazing. Not even touching it. Right. So like I have gone, like the last few weeks have been a little crazy. And so I hadn't kept it as clean as I wanted, as I have been doing, but but like in a weird way, I was like, it's okay. I'll get back to it. Yeah. And I did. Like last night I went through and I just like cleaned the kitchen and I reset it. And it was incredible to like see last night that I could do that. Even after having volunteered for the whole morning at the aquarium on my feet for like 5 hours. And then also having made Friendsgiving and then having Friendsgiving. I mean, that was a lot of stuff. Like my legs were like, they were like burning because they were like, they've been used so much, which is good. Yeah. And I still cleaned because I just knew I was like, we're going to have to get up so early to drop off our stepdaughter. And it's going to set us up for success if we wake up with a kitchen that's clean. Yeah. Who am I? Who are you? That's amazing. I am so curious if there's anyone else in our community who's been either on this journey or wanting to be on this journey. And kind of, I love this idea though of like one of the questions being, you know, how you express like what you've made progress on, or can you take a moment to acknowledge your progress on something, even if it's like the most small thing that you think, oh, whatever, it's a big deal, right? Any amount of progress you can make is a huge
Share
deal.
your win. Share your win.
Yes.
Because the smallest win is a big win.
Yeah.
And
sometimes the first win is the biggest.
Yeah.
Right. The smallest first win is like the thing that you go, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally just dropped my iPad. Sorry.
Yes, it's not just me. Hot Michelle. Hot Michelle. See, it just sort of like gets that out of your system.
I didn't want to stop it because it was a good moment. It was a good moment. It was a good moment. I wasn't trying to ruin the moment.
Well, I do still have something else I can repeat back, but, first of all, can we just state real quickly like how nice it is to just let go of whatever it is, that weird thing that happened with singing about it? Isn't it fun? Like, you just don't think about like how you dropped something anymore. You're like,
well, I wasn't until you just said it again.
Sorry. My bad.
Yes, it's super fun.
I did have a thought though. Let's see if I can remember it.
We are waiting in anticipation.
Thinking about my kitchen.
Your wins?
And my wins, yes. There was like a few weeks where like I haven't been doing the kitchen. Like I think it was like right after you had sort of said, well, Megan, you'll clean your room when you're ready. And you're so right. Because like last week I was so ready. I was like, okay, my job's starting and I got to make sure I have clothing, because that's like my fear. Like, what am I going to wear? And so I went through and like, I was like, okay, I have to wash everything. I got some new clothing, but I'm like, I probably should wash it first. So then I realized like, oh, some of this stuff is like lay flat to dry. Ugh. And then I'm in a humid climate, which is so new to me. So things don't dry here, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
To not be in a desert.
Yeah.
So I had to like kind of go through like, what's my week going to look like? I've just been trying to like play it out. And I realized like I need to clean up my closet. And so I just started doing that. And then I started like I was like, you know what? I just need to put stuff away. Like just I've been wanting to make a little thing for my makeup to do. And so I was like, just setting myself up for success. And I had to put my kitchen on the back burner that week because I really wanted to focus on making my bedroom work for me. And I only had so much energy. And so I did that. And I didn't clean the kitchen. I mean, I did a little bit here and there, but it wasn't amazing. And it was okay. Yeah. Because then I came back to it yesterday.
Yeah. That's so interesting because I was telling you that, but it was the same for me with my bedroom and I hadn't really finished it. Like we moved in 3 years ago and I wasn't sure what I wanted. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew what I wanted. I had a concept of it, but I didn't really like have it fully formed. And it was so funny because we ended up cleaning out these 2 sheds that I have. And in that moment, I was like, oh, it felt so good to have it done. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready to feel that good about my room too. Right. And it's interesting for me. And I don't know if this is similar for other people listening, but oftentimes I'm taking care of everybody else, every other space, everyone else's thing. And I'm not really taking care of me. Yeah. And so it was a big deal to have that time even just, and I think, you know, when you think about, you know, what is expected of us, oftentimes, you know, gender roles, all of those things potentially, right? That having time to do something for yourself. And I'm sure there are many people out there like, no, I always do for myself first. And then and good job if that's you too. Like, I love it. I just am not. And so it was a really lovely thing of time that I spent just kind of getting myself set, getting my room set the way that I wanted.
So
and
great.
It was, yeah. It felt really, really good, like you were saying. But I think it was also I was ready to do it. And sometimes you just have an emotional block on something and giving yourself grace that you just have that block and you're not ready yet, you know, for whatever reason.
Well, and you mentioned something about not knowing how you want it set up. And I totally get that. It's like one of the things that these people that I've been working with, like with the house cleaning going, they're called, it's like the productive home. I will show it to you and then we can maybe talk about it on another podcast. But one of the things that they talk about is like your clutter is saying something to you.
Mm.
And it's telling you need something to help you with that moment. So I was looking at like all the stuff on the ground in our bedroom, and I'm like, okay, just can I get everything off the ground so that my Roomba can come in and do the job for me?
Right.
And I was noticing that like Brian and I both put our pants like there's like a bucket that he put his pants in, and because you don't want to necessarily put the dirty pants back into the closet, but you also don't want to, you want to be able to wear them again if like they're jeans or something.
Right.
And I was always putting my pants like on the side of the bed, and then they'd fall down. And so I made three little hooks. And I made I put like hangers so that we could hang up our clothes.
Oh, that's smart.
And I put it right where Brian puts it, because I'm like, hey, well, he always puts his pants there, so like I will know to put them there. And so then it'll just be second nature. And he has done it every single night.
Wow.
I know.
And now it's not on the ground.
It's not. And it's right next to my cute little mirror with like my makeup. It's so adorable. I'll have to show you a picture, Michelle. It's
oh my
so
gosh.
cute.
Yeah, you'll need to post one on Facebook. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah, I really felt like for me, I had to live in the space for a while, first of all, to know. But the other thing, which was interesting, so our last time we were talking about flexibility, I was not putting things up on the wall because I didn't know if I like really wanted them on this wall or that wall. And for some reason, I completely forgot about those double sticky things. Like I've used that in every house I've ever been in forever because it wasn't my permanent home. I knew it wasn't the place I was going to live forever. And this is like feels more like it's a permanent home. And so then for some reason I was like, oh, I have to have nails in the wall. And then all of a sudden I was reminded of those little Velcro-y strip things. And I was like, why can I not put these things up on the wall and see if I like them there first and then live with them for a while and then whatever. So it was really interesting, like some of our discussions, even though I don't necessarily always feel like I have it as extreme as you do, sometimes I definitely have these moments where I'm like, oh, there is something stopping me. And I think the idea of like it's telling you something is also, there's also something that's like, it's telling you something that's stopping you for a reason, right? And that maybe you just have to be curious about that a little bit more and kind of dig into it a little bit and figure out like, why is it I haven't put up these beautiful paintings that I have or that I've made or that I've done or my friend's artwork that I always love to have up and around and interesting. Yeah.
That's kind of a fascinating idea that like, with people who listen to the podcast, like want their loved ones to also maybe listen to some, help them understand that like we've been joking that like I'm your little science experiment.
Yeah.
And but like really it actually has also been a scientific exploration for you as well.
Absolutely.
And not only can you help learn about the person who is ADHD or neurodivergent, but you can also kind of look at your role in your own life. And so like if you are somebody who has been given this podcast to listen to, they're saying to you, you are also worthy of looking at yourself. That you yourself can all like that is, we're all a little bit neurodivergent.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some aspect of when we talk about executive functioning, right? When we talk about how we do the things that we're going to do in our life, that we're stronger in some areas than in others. And, so again, the first two we've been looking at is flexibility and working memory. But there's, these others that we'll kind of tackle. And it's like, it's really so helpful. We kind of did a pre-podcast to this or a pre-one to all of this precursor where we kind of rated ourselves. And I'm curious, on a 1 to 5 scale, like where do people rate themselves, our community, with flexibility and with working memory? Like, are you a 5? Like your working memory is amazing, but maybe you're not very flexible, right? In terms of of how you would go about solving something. And I think for me, I'm kind of mid-range with my working memory, and my flexibility sometimes is a little bit low. You know what I mean? In certain, but not always, right? Also, which is great too. It's like, well, if I'm making a pie, then my spiciness is different than if I'm making a salsa, but whatever. Right. I don't know. I think there's this idea that that it's so interesting to me of like, what scenarios might these things be more complex for you than in others?
It's not linear.
It's not linear, and it's much more organic than that, right? And like allowing that just allows for you to be yourself, right? And be you, and that you are exactly amazing exactly as you are. You just might not understand you yet. And it helps when you do understand you. It helps when you dive into these things, I think. Helps me anyway.
Share it with other people.
Yeah.
You know, it just helps to helps everybody.
Yeah, we don't need to be closeted about the way our brains work. We just need other people to understand how our brains work, and we need to understand. And like when you have that mutual understanding, it's amazing, right? When you tell Brian, I need you to stage manage me. Now it's not an argument. Now it's not like, oh, there's something wrong with Megan. There's just like, this is what's needed right now. Here's how you can be helpful to me. Here's how I want to be helpful to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if he says something that he responds to me and it's just not the way I want him to respond, I'm like, no, wrong answer. This is what I really want you to say. And I tell him.
Yeah.
You know, because
and he's so
really
great
important
about it because he just does it, you know. So you guys have worked really hard. That's hard earned. We talk about things that have been hard earned, and that's hard earned between the two of you for sure.
That is true.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for being curious with me today. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy being curious about myself as well.
Oh, I love you being more curious about yourself too. It's so fun to watch and be a part of.
Absolutely. Love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. This episode, we are continuing our new series, diving deep into the strategies of home organization through the book, How ADHD Affects Home Organization by Lisa Woodruff. We hope you enjoyed us navigating our neurodivergent brains through curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Please take a moment to share the episode with someone you think would benefit from this conversation. Sharing this episode really helps us to continue building these episodes and creating better content for you. Also, don't forget to follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening to so that you can get notified each week. Because next week, we'll be diving into the idea of self-monitoring. That's the ability to monitor one's own performance and measure it against some standard that's needed or expected. Now, as a recovering perfectionist, I know how much this can get in the way, and I can't wait to explore it further with all of you next week. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember, stay curious. Okay.
Good job. We did it.
We did it. We did it.
That's a long
did
one.
It.
We did it.
Did it. We did. Because my brain is like, oh my God.
Woo!